All right. We give thanks for this Sunday morning. We give thanks for another time, another day that is primed for us to do some introspection work, for us to see God, for us to continue to grow in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of God and our divinity and our place as children of God. May the message of the day be profound as we need it, and may the meditation be exactly what we need as well. We give thanks in advance. Ashe, amen. Amen, 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 amen. All right. So I want to kind of discuss. I was listening to, for those who may be interested, I'll just go ahead and introduce it. But um, I'm a big fan of Gnostic, Gnostic. Gnostic. I am a very intrigued by Gnostic teaching. I came across Gnostic teachings through one of my favorite contemplative meditation channels on YouTube. And she has these contemplative meditations. Her voice is amazing. All she's really doing is reading teachings, but in the way that she's reading it. But nonetheless, this is how I got introduced to Gnostic, this whole idea of Gnostic teachings. And so I was some kind of way it came to mind for me to look and see what I can find on YouTube, more of Gnostic teachings, or maybe a documentary on Gnosticism. And I came across a lecture, really good lecture. I don't want to share the lecture right now because I'm still vetting it. I'm very meticulous about what I'm sharing. Just careful. There's a lot of information out there. But he had some good pointers from what I was listening to already. He started talking about the egos, and he said something. He said, he talked about egos in a way that simplified it and helped us, and I think could help get us to a place where we're not in fight with the ego, nor do we bash it or look at it as something bad. Because one of the challenges that we must face is moving away from the concept of good and bad. That's a hard concept because our mind wants to judge something good and bad. But in God, there's not good and bad. And I know that can be confusing, which is why I'm even challenging myself as a metaphysical teacher and minister to be careful with the words because it is used. We say God is good. Okay, so what does that mean? So it's challenging ourselves. What does this idea of good mean? So if we're moving away from the concept of good and bad, then what is it then? If it's not good and bad, what is it? Well, I've challenged myself at a stage in my journey of expanding and understanding to say, not judge it whether it's good or bad, but judge it whether it's balanced or imbalanced, harmonious or not harmonious, right? Because we look at something that's bad, but in the grand scheme of things, if we scale all the way out, it's good that this happened because of this happened. We can't see it because at the moment it's not good for us. But here's some tea. Half the time we don't know what's good for us. A lot of the things we're holding on to thinking is good for us or because it's comfortable for us or pleasant for us is actually not good for us. It's actually in the terms of what we call good and what we're deeming bad. So that's just a challenge that I think because of our education about life, we just have to face the challenge or it behooves us to face the challenge and just keep facing it gently. It's nothing like, oh, if you believe in it, it's no judgment in it. But I do think we have to challenge it. So with that said, when it comes to ego, I often say ego is not bad. It has its role in the conscious living, like in our conscious living, ego has its role, but it is a necessity for ego to be raised up to God level. That's how I say it. Raise the ego up to God level. But hearing him, talk about it. I said, oh, this is interesting. I would love to talk about this during our Sunday message and meditation. So first of all, he talked about it as plural, egos. He offers the idea that egos are attached to your life stories, your beliefs, your attitudes. He says all of these have egos. He said you can have hundreds of egos, thousands, many egos. Depends on how much what you got going on in the mind. So when I hear people say my mind is always racing, it made me think about these egos he's talking about. And I can understand why it would be considered to be egos, because these thoughts have a life of their own. This is why it's encouraged for you to really practice meditation, mindfulness, bringing the mind in, emptying the mind, or at the very least, being able to let the thoughts pass and not really, because it already has a life of its own, not let it really take life form within you. Because what happens is these life stories, so you get a story. I think the story of what immediately came to mind, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The story of slavery. We're not judging whether the story is true, false, good, bad. Let's just take it. The story of slavery, I can see how that story creates egos. Remember, egos invoke decisions, judgments, emotions. These egos create life forms, egos. So if you're one who's been told the story of slavery, I'll never forget going to Cameroon in Africa, and no one knew about this story that was so present in my consciousness and in my life. And they had no clue about it. They didn't know about Marcus Garvey. They didn't know anything about the slave trade, nothing. They didn't know anything. This group of people who I was talking to anyway. And that was interesting to me because they talk differently. They think differently. It was a different type of conversation with them as a fellow melanated person. And at that moment, I realized that my whole mind frame was different than theirs because I had this story as a part of that's why they call it his story, as a part of my story. That was a part of my story. So I thought a certain kind of way. I functioned a certain kind of way. I not judging the good or bad, but it did create these egos. These egos are behind a lot of the boundaries we set for ourselves, restrictions we have for ourselves, limitations we have for ourselves, whatever they may be. Again, good or bad, right, wrong, either way, these egos create that. And so he was saying these egos are like life stories, the life stories you have, the beliefs you hold, the skepticisms you have, they create these egos. The worries you have, even the goals that you have create egos. What we think, the voices inside of us, these are the egos that we're holding. Essentially, these are the conditioned essence. It's the essence within us, but they are conditioned by things, by thoughts, by realities, by whatever it is. They have these conditions. While on the other side, there is that which actually is real. And that is God, God principle, God, the reality of God, law, like universal law. These things it just is kind of what it is. The essence and the essence or source energy, source life, and the internal eternal God. That's actually what is. All of these other things, as Muji say, are like clouds floating by. None of it is fixed. None of it is real, but we all deal with them. So I started to think, I said, we all deal with this universe of egos within us, right? Just from whatever, from what our mama taught us or talked about, or what was going on in our household, what was going on in our environment, what's going on in America, what's going on in the world, what's going on right in front of us, what's happening with our boyfriend, our man, our girlfriend, our wife, our children. We got all these things going on within our life, right? The call of the word of God, which shows up in the Bible, is the liberation of our essence. And the liberation of our essence, according to the word that's written in the Bible, is crucifixion. That's what it is. It liberates that which is you. This I element that I talked about last week, that's already there. There's an essence that's already there within you that is perfect in nature. Perfect meaning it's already in alignment with your divine plan and purpose. It is in alignment with your life. It is in alignment with, it's a perfect essence, like the caterpillar. I often think about the caterpillar. I don't quite know another example except the seed. The seed and the caterpillar. The caterpillar in its chrysalis stage literally does not come out. It's already in, it's in there. It doesn't, nothing comes in, nothing feeds it, nothing, it's none of that. It's already in there. That's a dynamic. If you've never studied the chrysalis stage, I think it could be very profound in understanding the reality of God if you really study the chrysalis stage of a caterpillar. The other one is the seed. To realize that the seed becomes the trunk. I'm just thinking of a tree. The trunk that produces so many more fruit and seed. That's dynamic to me. And this is what the essence of God is. It literally is the perfect essence of what's needed to produce the perfect fruit from you as the tree of life or the garden of Eden. But it has to be from what he was saying, and I agree in a sense. It has to be liberated. That's our walk, is liberation. I heard a sister here saying she's rereading or reading Purpose Driven Life. I remember that book first came out, and it was so popular because so many wants to know, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? If you read Purpose Driven Life, it'll lead you to, in a certain kind of way, especially if you read it with the metaphysical eye and ear, it'll lead you to understand that you come into this physical experience in and on purpose already. And it is not for you to seek it, to find it. It's for you to surrender so that it can be done, shown to you, so you can live in it. The more you liberate the essence through clarifying the egos, quieting the ego, which is what I'm calling the topic of this talk, the more you quiet the ego, the more you liberate the essence that's already within you. The more you quiet the egos, I like calling it that. We're going to call it that going forward. The more you quiet the egos, the more you liberate the essence. And quieting the ego, I'm calling here, is crucifixion. That's how you quiet the egos. Because a lot of times the egos are formulated from each other. They kind of build on each other. You have this belief, this attitude, this running background program going, and it creates all these egos. And these egos create. They create. Thoughts create things. Mind becomes matter. Change your mind, and the matter around you changes. So these egos are constantly creating. So if you think about it like that, then when I say it's nothing wrong with the egos, they are what they are. Can they be quieted? Can they be cultivated? When I say raise your egos up to God level, can they be cultivated? Question is, how can we cultivate the egos so that I have egos of God nature, voices of God in God of God nature, the voices inside. The voices inside me are more in alignment with the reality of God than the realities, the quote unquote realities of this world. During this time of this election and all of these different type of things, egos are screaming. And many, and I understand the dynamic that this comes from, many want to be mad. I've experienced it face to face in conversation. It's almost as if the voice of God troubles the voice of the egos in association with this election. It troubles it. So if I've experienced in conversation, if I say, well, you know, there's silver lining in everything. There's polarities in life, you know, truth. I'm just talking universal truth. What did I say? That which is. Egos are your life stories, your beliefs, your skepticism, your worries, your goals, what you're thinking, your thoughts, the voice inside us, conditioned essence. That which is life. So one way that you can cultivate God-like egos is to get to understand life. Become educated about life. So if I say something like, well, you know, there's polarities in life. In the Quran, it says, with every difficulty comes ease. So it's basically saying, with everything that is a push and pull, there's something that is easy. With everything that is hot, there's also something that's cold. Polarities. Study polarities. Find polar, the dynamic of polarities in nature. Find it in life. Just look for it so you can get to understand it, so you can get acclimated with it. Because if not, if it's prevailing to you, this looking at one polar and then making judgment and now creating stories and now creating skepticism and now you find the research and now you heard this and let me show you this and let me show this article, let me show you how they did this and let me show you how they did that. What becomes your reality? Be careful, children of God. Even if you don't think that it's having an impact, these conversations that you think you're having innocently and that you're just stating your opinion and you're just expressing yourself, if it's not in alignment with truth, it's going to take form into something that is of error, and error results in a hellish state and results. Because a hellish state of consciousness produces a hellish state of being. So don't go blame. Oh, see, I told you, look what happened. Look what the government did. I see, look, You create, you are a co-creator in your reality. A hard pill to swallow is that whatever matter is around you, whatever's going on in your life, matches your mind. Whether it's your subconscious mind, unconscious mind, conscious mind, it matches your mind. It's a courageous thing, fearlessness. It is a courageous thing to, in the face of adversity, The scripture says, yield not to temptation. What is the temptation it's talking about? The temptation to fall victim in taking on the emotions and the mind chatter and all of that of adversity. That's the temptation. Yield not to temptation, children of God. Yield not to the temptation. In all things, proclaim God. Even if you don't have the physical, I hear people say, ring my ear. I hear people say, all right, y'all go ahead and pray, and y'all, well, okay, God ain't gonna do it. It's rough. It's a rough conversation. I hear you, but you know, we can't just be pacifists, and we can't just be positive Annies about everything. You got to fight for something. I need you to scale it all the way back and first fight for your mind. Because what are you fighting for? And then if you feel like you come to a level of peace and harmony, first of all of the other stuff ain't even going to be a bother to you no more. But you got at least one person that is a close family member to yours that you can be quote unquote fighting for, praying for, fretting about. Okay, you done help liberate everybody in your family. Okay, now you got somebody in your community or job. Okay, you done went and saved all of them. Okay, great. Now you got somebody who in your state. you done help liberate and heal all of them. Okay, let's keep moving. Most of us, we still got work right here. And the T is that's where it stays. Okay, that memo. I'm giving you the memo. That's really truly where it is. That's where it is. It's the liberation within yourself. Because here's the reality. If your egos are on God level, that means the thoughts that you have in your life story changes. You talk about your life story way differently. Who you are, where you talk about it differently. Your beliefs shift. Your attitudes shift. Skepticism dissolves. Because you're not being careful for nothing. What's skepticism at if you ain't being careful for nothing? You're not taking no serious mental attention about nothing. So what you got, you don't even have the energy to be skeptical. It's just like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. If you're truly standing true to that scripture, be careful for nothing, you ain't caught up in these elections like that. Well, Queen, you got to be in tune, and we are hearing this word. Baby, I don't have to do nothing but follow spirit. Now, if spirit tell me to get up there and do it, okay, I'm in it. I'm in it. And spirit telling you, more power to you. But what I can tell you is, if it's in spirit and truth, it's not a lot of this trauma, drama. That's not it. That's not a character trait of spirit. It's not. Drama, you worry, you depressed, now you manifesting stuff. Now somebody done left a note on your door that something, and then now you got a redneck who done moved in your neighborhood, and now you got everything just done start tumbling over. Queen, you saying that's my fault? Yes, I am saying that's your fault. Now you done had a crazy experience at the job, and then it's all happening. The manifesto is just, it's coming to pass. I'm sure it is. It's not coming to pass in my life. I'm kind of joking here, but I'm serious. It happens. I didn't even plan on talking about this, but clearly the collective consciousness is talking about it. So clearly now I'm talking about it. I mean, it wasn't on my mind at all. I'm really just emphasizing ego. Ego has the country, the world in grips prior to this election, but certainly now. Because like in high school, they candidate didn't win. Now you mad. Or your candidate won, and now you feel like you better than somebody, or whatever. All of it is ego. Be careful, because here's another thing. If you allow some of these egos to plant seeds to be planted within you, it's attached to a stream of energy that you don't even know what you're attaching to. We can call it soul ties. And so things in your life will begin to be continuances or continuums of things that was already brewing. And you wonder why something is exploding in your life. How did I get here? Be careful what you're tying your soul to. I'm still talking about egos. What are these egos, plural, that I'm talking about? The life stories that you tell, beliefs, skepticism, attitudes, worries, even your goals, your missions, your fights, what I stand for, all of these different things. The voices that's going on inside of your head. Some of our voices, you're not good enough. You're not healthy. Be careful. Even if you're obsessively looking up stuff about health, you could find yourself creating egos within you to make you feel you're not healthy. You're reading about the chemtrails and the pesticides and now you're reading about then the water ain't good and then this ain't good. And I'm not saying don't be educated. I'm saying spend more time seeing what is health. Focus more energy on what is healthy versus what is not healthy. And you can find yourself doing that. Instead of looking up what causes inflammation in the body, look up what alkalines the body. How do we build? How do we quiet? And then the title of this talk is Quiet in the Ego, but I really want to change it. There must be some quieting in order to even do what I really want to emphasize. But cultivating the ego. Cultivating egos. Cultivating God level egos. Because egos are part of our reality. We're going to have beliefs. We're going to have attitudes. We're going to have thoughts. But we want to quiet them so that they're not front and center. And we're allowing God's will, God's voice, God's mind, divine mind, and his spirit to be front and center. And then our beliefs are in servitude to spirit. Spirit reveals something to you, it should spark a belief. It should spark an understanding. You commune with spirit some kind of way. You ever just felt like full in spirit? Like you full in gratitude. That should spark an attitude. That should spark a belief. But what we're finding is we're in reaction to this world and it's creating beliefs. It's creating skepticism. It's creating these vibrations. That's creating. And so now we're living our life in this back and forth, tug of war, pulling, push and pull with this world. Instead of a state of crucifixion and surrender to the reality of God and in observation of this world. If you're in a state of crucifixion, you're in observation. That's all you can be in. And it's saying, listen, not my will, God's will be done. The cross at the crucifixion represented the crossing out of ego mind with God's mind. That's what it represents. The anointing oil with the olive oil is a representation of crossing out the carnal egoic mind with divine mindedness. Same with the crossing out of the heart. Crossing it out, purification of the heart. Same with when they do it on the gut. I'm from the real Baptist church, baby. That oil was going everywhere. And it's going to go on my feet too. Crossing out of the feet. Why are we crossing out? I don't even want to go that way. Lead me down the straight path. I want to be on the straight path. So cross out my tendency to even go on any other path. What Abraham Hicks said, please make a U-turn. Please make a U-turn. Get back to the straight turn. Get back to the straight path. I'm not here to fuss at nobody, for vote for nobody, believing in nobody. I am here to advocate for us to believe in the reality of God solely. So if you're talking about it, you should be talking about it with the voice of God, with the reason of truth. And again, that don't have to sound pious. It just have to be in alignment with universal truth and life. And life. One of the most valuable things in the garden is something that is disgustingly stinky sometimes. It's called compost. But you know what it turned into? They call it black gold in the South. They call it black gold. Why? Because when you put this compost, when you sprinkle this compost in your garden, it fertilizes it so much. What does it come from? Decomposed scraps. When you look, it's flies, gnats, worms. And some would argue, and I'm not extremely educated about the difference, but I know that there's a value to it. Some would say the one with manure in it is even better. I don't deal with the one with manure here at my garden, but I know some who deal with the compost with manure. You have to have a whole acre over there that's just for compost, because baby, that smell when it hits you. Woo! But people love it. The compost with the zoo manure that you get. It's a company out here who sells it. Why am I bringing that up? Somebody, if they didn't know nothing about it, they would smell that and think it's something gone bad. Something's gone bad over there. If you give it to them to put in their garden, they would go, ooh, that, you don't smell that? Them flies all over that. What is that? It's impossible for our human minds to know everything and why things are divinely ordered. It's impossible to know why. But what we do is, at one time we'll say, all is God. Well, you know everything in divine order. But then we see something we don't like because of whatever judgment we got, and we can back it up with facts. What happened to everything in divine order? What happened? Well, I can see how that's in divine order, but this can't be in divine order. We've heard it say, that ain't God. That ain't none of God in it. Wow, how can we say that? How is that a statement that we really say and believe? Well, I know that ain't God. All of it is God. Even the inharmonious things, it's all God. Even when you're operating outside of God's mind, it was still meant to happen. It's still divinely ordered. We can look back over our life and imagine when we have definitely operated out of harmonious order. Meaning we knew we knew it wasn't in alignment with harmony, with peace, but we did it. But that was still in order. It was still in order. I think we may look at order improperly, or like we have a skewed way of looking at order in order. Life is eternal. This path that we're all on, we say we all just walking each other home. This path that we all are on, it's eternal. It's infinite. we all are just playing roles and playing parts in it. And sometimes, as some say, we play the part of a fool. And sometimes we play the part as the healer. Sometimes we play the part as the peacemaker. Sometimes we the tyrant. Everybody on here done been a tyrant. At what level? I don't know. Some of y'all Aries. No, I'm just kidding. Leo. No, I'm just kidding. You done played the real tyrant, but okay. You were supposed to play it. It's okay. So I want to bring this home. Quieting the ego. Brothers and sisters, it is extremely beneficial for you to have a meditation practice. And the one that I really want to encourage you to focus on is the quiet meditation. The quiet meditation is where all you're focusing on is your breath and relaxing the body. That's it. Your breath and relaxing your body. All of us should have that incorporated in our daily. A set time where we're focusing only on breathing and relaxing. You can use the breath pattern 4-4-4. You can use the breath pattern 4-7-8. Look up breathing patterns, breath work patterns. The reason why I'm suggesting breath patterns is because then you can just focus your mind on, literally all you're focusing your mind on is your breath. However, you don't have to use breath pattern. Just focus on taking deep breaths in and deep breaths out and completely relaxing. You don't have to contemplate anything. You don't have to be guided. Just literally practicing quiet meditation. I'm just encouraging us to really do it, like to really have a daily practice of quiet meditation. I'm not saying stop guided meditation, stop all of the other meditations that's about. Just incorporate every day quiet meditation. The other thing that quiets the ego, contemplation, introspection work, where you're inquiring with yourself. Specifically, I'm asking you to ask yourself questions around the main areas of life. Your currency or money or well-being, money, resources, your health, your relationships with people and yourself, and your relationship with God. Ask yourself, what are my beliefs? What do I believe about this? What are my beliefs? What are my attitudes? We're talking about psychological. It's funny, he said egos are also like your psychological eye. The eye, the voices or the sight, the things you come in judgment with from what you're seeing, but through your psychological lens, meaning through your own beliefs, memories, ideas, and all of that. It becomes your eye. It becomes your psychological eye. So you can tell where people's mind is depending upon where their beliefs are. What do you believe about this situation? Now, in this moment, I think about in the movies when people go to the psychiatrist, they hold up a picture and go, "What you see?" I see an elephant, and it's like just a splatter of ink. Like, I see this, or I see that. Now I understand. So psychological eyes from your own experiences, belief, feelings, whatever. Ask yourself the questions: what do I believe? What are my attitudes? What do I think about this? And do it often in every area of your life. These main areas that we find to be our main areas, right? That we often think about. God, what do I believe about God? What is my attitude when it comes to God? Some of us, we do hold an attitude subtly. We try not to, and we do everything we can to not give life to it. But there is a little bit of disbelief, a belief that is not really real. It's just maybe feel good, better about it, but it ain't really real. It's okay. Realize that. So meditation practice, introspection work, doing inquiry with yourself, asking yourself questions about your beliefs. What story am I telling? That's a really good question. What story am I telling about this situation? What's the story that I'm telling? Some of us, the story we're telling is that the government have more power than God. That these jobs got more power than God. That our relationships in our life got more power than God. That's the story we're telling. We really are. That's why we behave in certain ways and think in certain ways. And awareness is key. It's not to judge yourself and say, why would I even think like this? How could I do this? No, just be aware. Because once you do that, then you do the third thing that I'm going to mention for quieting the ego. Denial work is essential. We call it renunciation, also affirmation, clean it up. This is the cleanup work. Once you do those inquiries, you must go in there and clean them up. What are you cleaning them up with? That which is principles of life, truth statements of life. That's interesting. That's right when I said that. Principles of life. What else cleans it up? When you see a belief, you recognize a belief, then you compare it with the universal laws or the nature of God. That's another way to say it. Or the laws of God or the laws of life. But those, it's essential for you to get to know those. A lot of times in our metaphysical studies class, we are talking about that in different ways. We're talking about the reality of life, the reality of our divinity, the divinity of our body, the dynamic nature of life and God, the divinity of God, the reality of God. That's what we're talking about. Even in our studies of fortifying the chakras, we're getting to understand consciousness through the chakras. Consciousness from our root energy, like how it impacts our consciousness, sacral, solar, first eye, all of those different things. You gotta get to know. That's where that study is absolutely necessary. Yes, Sunday message makes you feel good, and hearing something motivational is good and all that. You must get to know God. And then get to understand what it means that you are a child of God. What does that mean? Get to understand Christ. Get to understand Christ consciousness. What does that mean? Get to understand what is a miracle. I heard somebody say recently, a miracle is just an actualization of forgiveness and love. What is forgiveness? Remember, giving something up. What is divine love? Remember, accepting an allowance. So it's saying miracles happen in that space. So that made me think of miracles when it comes to cancer and all these different type of things. How was they able to actualize that? They have gotten to a place of forgiveness or giving it up, and divine love for life, for what it is, because divine love, again, is the ability to accept and allow life as it is. Let me say it in a different way. The ability, because that accept make people, that drive people crazy a little bit. Like, you mean I just supposed to accept it? I am saying that, but let me just say it in a different way. The ability to observe life without attaching to it, without the feeling of fear that makes you want to go and manipulate it and do this and do that, but you face it from a place of, I see it for what it is. I also understand life. I understand truth. So I don't have any fear. All right. So I can approach it. I can be a part of this, whatever is going on, but I'm going to do it from a place of fearlessness. I'm going to do it from a place of lightheartedness. I'm going to do it from a place of encouragement, courageousness, at the very least, peace. I may not even be quite courageous. I may not be too bold. I may not be too strong in it, willful, zealful, whatever in God, but I am at peace. Because there's this level of trust that I have. There's this level of understanding of life that I have. There's this level of understanding who I am and what that got to do with life and all of that that I have. I have an understanding about my divine journey, my divine path, divinity. I have an understanding about that. So there's this level of peace. I'm at peace. I can't say I love what's going on. I also don't just hate it. I'm at peace. I'm in the middle. That's love. I'm in the middle. That's love. So how do we quiet the ego? You must do meditations. Given moments every day, the more the better, of focusing on the breath and relaxing the body. Number two, introspection work. Asking yourself, inquiring with yourself. What is the story I'm telling? What are the stories I'm telling? What are the beliefs I have about this? What's the attitude I have about this? What's the this I have about introspection work? And then three, constantly renunciate, deny, affirm. Renunciate means to deny and affirm. Deny error, what we call error thoughts, and affirm thoughts of truth. Before we go into our meditation, I want us to be clear about what are error thoughts. What are these error thoughts? Thank you for those who are hanging tight with the message. We won't be too much longer. We won't be too much longer. I want us to be clear about what are error. Another word for it, carnal. Another word for it, let's just go for it, evil, sinful. These are all words, same meaning, same idea. Error thoughts. According to the Truth Unity Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, error, the metaphysical meaning of error, that which is untrue. Error thoughts represent belief in thoughts and beliefs that are not of God. Error thoughts have no foundation in truth. They originate, guess where? In the intellect. They are eliminated by one's denying their reality and power and affirming the truth of being. Denial and affirming, that's what renunciation is. We must constantly be in our renunciation work. Constantly, y'all, constantly. Why am I saying that? Collective consciousness is vibrant with fear, fearful thoughts. So it has to be constant. Okay. Another explanation of error from a metaphysical standpoint, thoughts with their corresponding words and acts. Pull up, selector. Thoughts with their corresponding words and actions that are not in harmony with divine mind. Thoughts with their corresponding words and actions that are not in harmony with divine mind. I dare you to go look up what does harmony mean metaphysically and being clear about what does divine mean. What are we even talking about here? What are harmonious thoughts? It continues to say, error thoughts have no foundation in absolute truth. They originate in the intellect. I encourage you to look up what intellect means metaphysically. It plays a role, But understand what it is, spiritual beings. Such thoughts, error thoughts, are eliminated by one's denying their reality and power and affirming the truth of being. Then, guess what? Their outer expressions and manifestations disappear also. They disappear also. Jesus is a prime example. The people also represents thoughts. The people, they were always in an uproar. Somebody dying, somebody sick, the storm about to kill us, the person over here, the people, the thoughts. When Jesus, that also means divine mind, would show up, it was no acknowledgement of it. As a matter of fact, he told his own mama she came in there with lackful thoughts and words and actions that corresponded. We running out of wine. Lord of mercy. If you know what wine means in metaphysics, you know what that's your thoughts. We running out of good times. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of the essence of life. I'm running out of the possibilities. I'm running out of we running out of wine. He looked at her and said, woman, what do I have to do with you? I have nothing to do with you. Divine mindedness has nothing to do with the thoughts and the quote unquote realities and truth of this world. It's all intellect. It's all from what the eye see. He said, go get them tubs. Some people say go get but it was tubs, bathtubs. I said, I don't know if it was bathtubs, but it was tubs. Go get them tubs. Fill them up with water. He turned them to wine. It's not the only time he said, we about to die. It's a storm. Oh my God. He down there asleep. Probably just turned over. Dreaming about milk and honey and stuff. Y'all running down there, all the faculties. The disciples came down there waking them up. That will waking them up. That zeal. Remember, that's what the disciples mean. I'm talking them listen now. The will waking them up. That zeal waking them up. That faith in error waking them up. He go up to the surface and say, peace be still. And then turn to them thoughts, them faculties, and said, oh, ye of little faith. Haven't you seen all of the miracles we've been doing? What you think we've been doing? You think I'm just a magician up in this mug? What is happening? How would you even, what is going on? You see me sleep? If you see me sleep, you should be sleep. If I'm sleep, you should be sleep. That's the problem. Divine mind is at rest, and here you go. You running around. Well, what if had this happen? What if that happened? Well, look what happened over here. Let me Google it. Let me see what. Wow, look what happened in this one. Meditation. When things go awry, when you don't know what, go into your quiet meditation. Breathe. Focus on the breath. Again, if you got a chattery mind, do breath patterns. 4, 4, 7, 8, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7. All of those are great breath patterns. 30 seconds in, hold it for 30 seconds. Breathe out 30 seconds, then hold it again for 30 seconds before you take a breath. Focus on doing that a few times. Time will go by and you'll realize, wow, my mind was clear and quiet. You do that more and more and more, it becomes a state of being. You become quiet. It says in prayer, in communion with God in the secret place of the Most High, the mind lays hold of divine ideas. So what you think gonna happen if you practice in this quiet meditation? And you just quiet. I don't know about y'all, but when I first started meditating, meaning doing this quiet meditation, just being quiet with myself, revelations was coming like this. It was like, do this, do that, do that. I had to stop myself from stopping my meditation to go and write stuff down. And just like, no, don't feel like you're going to lose it. Just sit there. I had to learn I had to practice that. It took a minute. I had to practice to not get so eager because I done quieted the mind. Now divine mind done popped up. And these divine ideas come because you done quieted the ego. And because remember, when you quiet the mind, don't think that you're totally mindless. Let's be reminded that there's God mind, divine mind, the essence that's already there and it's always present. And it's always in action. What we're doing on the surface and with ourselves is quieting the ego mind by focusing on the breath, not having any thought, just focusing on relaxing the body so the body is not engaged, just totally releasing and surrender. It's a supplication, it's a posture, it's a state that you're putting yourself in. And so in that state, it says the mind lay hold of divine ideas. You're communing with God when you're doing that quiet meditation. That's a communion you're having with God. If you understand what communion is, and if you understand what God is, that's a communion you're having with God. So yes, your mind is going to lay hold of divine ideas and become established in consciousness. It says the mind lay hold of divine ideas and establishes them in consciousness. It's called a quickening, a renewal of the mind, a rejuvenation. This is the place that prayer has in controlling thought. Prayer is a meditation. They're using the word prayer. I'm using the word meditation. There is no presence or power of evil in reality. There is no presence or power of evil in reality. There is no presence or power of evil in reality. There is no presence or power of evil in reality. How dare you give any entity outside of God a thought of presence and power in your life? So much so where you just can't sleep, you can't eat, you depressed, you need therapy. I done heard it all. You uprooting your family, people making all type of decisions right now. Lord help us. In fear. It's different if it's coming from divine ideas. This is happening in fear, in response, in reaction to things of this world. People are doing all type of things you wouldn't even believe. You wouldn't even believe. There is only one capital P presence and one capital P, capital P, capital P, yes, power, the good, omnipotent, in the true sense of what good means. That's it. So quiet the egos. And this is not a message in response to the elections. It just came up, I imagine, because that's what's going on in collective consciousness. This could be anything. It could be anything. Quiet the egos. What are the 3 things we can do? These is not the sole 3 things that we can do, but these are things that we can do. Quiet the ego through quiet meditation, communion with God, introspection work, inquiring within, asking yourself, what beliefs am I holding? And then constantly renunciate, deny and affirm. Because it's just how it works in this human nature. We have egos. So we oftentimes have to deny and affirm. We give thanks for the word this morning. We give thanks for the word. We give thanks for that which is. We give thanks for the reality of crucifixion, the liberation of the essence of us. Crucifixion being to cross out, to drain the life of, right? And be raised up in something different. That's crucifixion, okay? So to drain the life of those other egos and raise the ego up. in God consciousness. That's what we want to do. And the atonement will happen once we do that. The at-one-ment begins to happen. The integration begins to happen. And then you little at a time, but surely you begin to truly walk in God. It won't be such a struggle no more. I know for some, at the stage you're in, it's a struggle. I get it. Especially if your life is very involved or you have certain character traits about you just comes in your charts. I mean, I get it. For some people, it's a little seemingly easier than others, but it is what it is. It's just the dynamics, and it's a part of your life. If it's something that's difficult for you, that's a part of your journey too, because you're going to learn something. The more difficulty you have, the more easy you're going to experience. The more challenges you have to go through, the more testimonies you're going to have. The more tests you go through, the more testimonies you're going to have. And so you have value. You who may find it difficult, there's value in your journey. Just stay the course with it. There's value there because you're going to have a lot to tell. And that's a big part of our journeys, our purpose in this life. All right. So we give thanks for this word. Let us go into a brief, quiet meditation. Why not? Let's go into a brief communion with God to close up this message for today. So go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable position. We're not going to make it long, but we will be able to experience just a moment of quietness, a moment of silence, where literally we just go into a space of surrender, remembering that when we relax the body, we focus on nothing but the breath. We focus on nothing but letting go and releasing. This is when we make room to be in communion, to lay hold of those divine ideas, and for them to become set in our consciousness. And so settling the mind down, just begin to focus in on the breath, engage in the breath, and relaxing the body. Just simply first focus on slowing the breath down, deepening the breath, bringing that breath all the way down to the bottom of the belly. And slowing that exhale down. So just first starting with slow, deep inhales in through the nose. Expanding the body as much as you can, and slow exhales all the way out. Relaxing the body. Inhaling deeply through the nose. And exhaling through the nose or mouth, whichever one is comfortable. But slow exhales all the way out. With each inhale and exhale, relax. Notice the tension in the shoulders. Release it. Relax. Relax your hands, your arms. Every time you inhale, expand in the body. And when you exhale, let it relax. We oftentimes hold tension in the jaw and the forehead. Release the jaw. Relax the forehead. Completely let go. I invite you to try out a breath pattern. And so let's go into the 4-4-4. Inhaling for 4 seconds. Holding it for 4 seconds. And exhaling for 4 seconds at your own pace. Counting within yourself to 4 as you inhale. Hold it for 4. And exhale all the way out in 4 seconds. Inhaling as completely as you can in 4 seconds. Holding it for 4. And completely exhaling in 4 seconds. Taking a few of those breaths and then relax. Nothing to think about. Nothing to consider. Just being present in the moment. Focusing on that inhale and exhale. Releasing all tension and letting everything go. Allowing the body to relax and release. When we engage in this moment of silence, of quiet, the heart begins to relax and open. The body, including the cells, the organs, the nerves, begin to relax. And it begins to fall into a state of ease. The opposite of this state is dis-ease. We carry dis-eases of the mind, dis-ease of the heart. But when you breathe, relax, you reconnect with your ease. It's natural. That's the natural state of wellness. In this wellness and this ease is your love, is your life, is your health, is your wealth. If we were to speak in frequency terms, this ease is the same frequency of God mind, of intuition, of divine intelligence. So in order to get even in the room with this, we must be at ease. So simply breathe and relax. You don't have to contemplate anything. You don't have to think of anything, listen to anything. No mantras have to be rolling around in your head or on your tongue. Nothing wrong with them. But even this is enough. Just being empty. This is not the time to deny and renunciate, to affirm and pray. This is just a moment of quiet. The quiet prayer. The quiet communion. There is still a communication happening. There are many things happening. You're in a state of surrender. A state to allow it. If thoughts come, bring your focus back to the breath and back to the body. In this moment of quiet, we give thanks for stillness. We give thanks for the reality of divine consciousness, divine mind, divine life. Meaning this is life beyond us, in the unseen, in the over and underworld. In it, all is well. All is in order. There is no reality of chaos. May we be at peace with it. When you're ready, take one last deep breath in through the nose, slow, deep as you can. And hold that breath as long as you can. And when you're ready, exhale and relax. And just give thanks for the moment. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for God. Give thanks for the reality of God. Give thanks for the reality of your divinity. Give thanks for breath. All right. Bring yourself back to the present moment by wiggling your fingers and toes. Give yourself a little stretch, giving thanks for this moment of meditation. Thank you so much for joining in this experience this morning. I speak that we will continue to cultivate our egos in God. Our egos being our attitudes, our beliefs, our stories we tell, may they continue to cultivate in the reality of God. Ashe, amen, 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 amen. All right. If this was good for you, once it's recorded, or if you're watching this as a replay, share the link with someone to listen in on it. Or you can also remind your friends and family, they can tune in at 11 a.m. Eastern Time every Sunday. And if you're in Atlanta, again, you can come in person. If you enjoyed this message, you can show your gratitude, show your love through your love offerings on the same page you tuned in live, or you can do it here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a way you can give at the top right corner or down right above the captions. Thank you so much for joining me. The next thing I will be doing is the full moon. Full moon meditation. Is the full moon? We're in the full moon time, right? Yes. First quarter. Yeah, it is growing, not disappearing for sure. So full moon meditation will be coming up soon. You're welcome, Sister. Thank you for joining this AM full moon. Listen, when there is cultivation of egos during the full moon, during the new moon, during these meditations, every time we're doing a meditation, there's a level of cultivation. So if you've never tried those with us, I think those will be profound for you. You should try them out. I know it may sound foreign to those who don't follow the moon cycles, but I will constantly encourage you. Tune in with the cycles and seasons of life, because it's all happening, and if you're in tune with it, you can experience that much more heavenly experiences, heavenly, harmonious, loving experiences in your life that's in alignment with your divine plan and purpose. All right. Thanks again for joining me. I will see y'all. If I don't see you on the full moon meditation, I'll see you next Sunday. All right. Peace and love. You're welcome, Erica. Thank you.